Much better is what we like to hear. Okay, so chat's where it's at. Welcome, everybody. Sorry for that. A little bit of weirdness. Haven't had a chance to test this. Tried to test it. Couldn't really test it. I want to see. Oh, yeah. See, I did get that right. This is the chat I was able to put on the screen because I'm using OBS as opposed to vMix. So, yeah, I don't know that anyone can read that. I certainly can't. But at least I know that I can do it, which is really fun. All right, back to my silliness here. So, chat is where it's at. Welcome. Apologies for the technical silliness. I'm glad it's all good now, and I'm very happy that we are together today. Again, I'm in Stratton Mountain, Vermont, and this is Web3 Wednesday, and I am Shelly Palmer. You'll notice in the bottom that corner there, right there, it says discord.gg/Shelly Palmer. I know that you all know what Discord is. So we had PGX, our private social network, that was for the last 2 years our thing. And we're now going to be moving all of the stuff from Mighty Networks over to Discord. And this is our Discord server, discord.gg, which is discord/Shelly Palmer, our vanity, our boosted vanity URL. So please, if you'd like to continue the conversation or be part of the conversation, we've got all kinds of interesting chats. There's over 500 members since we started this the other day, and we're going to try and move over all 3,000 members from PGX in the next little bit. So I hope you'll join us because it's really time to get a much better, more robust communications environment together for all of us. So I'm really, really happy to announce that we're all getting together on Discord, and hopefully you'll join the server. A lot of people had some trouble with Discord. It's not for the faint of heart. They have like a really interesting double verify, and it's hard to use. But once you get in there, there are hundreds of servers, maybe thousands of servers that are really interesting. The whole crypto world is there. The streaming world is there. Everybody is there. So it's really super fun. So who's here? Ron Sheraton, Mark Royer, Justin McClung. Wow, look at this group. Tom, welcome. David Shamatz, welcome. Yeah, this is fantastic. What a nice group. Well, tell everybody who you are. Tell everybody where you are. And of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, just please let me know and I will do my best. This isn't Ask Me Anything Wednesday as well as our Crypto Wednesday. One of the most interesting things that happened this week was Google turned off the data from Google Maps API worldwide. They left the turn-by-turn signal stuff on where you could go turn by turn and learn how to get from place to place. But they turned off the location-based APIs that you could pull mass data out of. And the reason they did that, they said, was to protect the citizens of Ukraine. There's an open source intelligence movement, OSINT, O-S-I-N-T. And if you Google OSINT, you will see all of the open source data that there is in the world that people use constantly to make predictions and or to find out stuff about people. It's open source intelligence, and there's a whole way you deal with that. One of the ways that one of the contributing data sets you'd use would be Google traffic data. There's other location data too. Foursquare, remember those guys? They're still in business selling location data. You can get location data from a lot of vendors, and a lot of people amass location-based profiles. Google is real time, and what happened was there was an OSINT expert who had been amassing a bunch of information about troop formations and troop movements using satellite images and available other data in the OSINT movement. And he was using traffic data. At 3:15 in the morning, the night of the attack, he knew that the Russians were on the move, that a convoy was on the move from Russia into Ukraine. So using Google Maps data, using the traffic data from Google Maps. So they shut it off, which makes me, and I think that's great, but it makes you ask a really important question, which is, what data do we rely on all day, every day, that's good for us and good for our enemies? And if you turn it off for our enemies, you're also turning it off for us? It's a really interesting question. And if you go down the list of ways that we're dependent on our technology, across the board, Web 2 or Web 3, doesn't matter which Wednesday, Web 2 or Web 3 Wednesday, we are highly dependent on the data sets that we use. So, and also how they happen in real time. There's a lot of real time data. How do you get an Uber? How do you your traffic information on Waze, your contact list, anything you've got in the cloud, if you're using iCloud or you're using Google Cloud in any way or any of the Amazon web services, what if they shut some of that stuff off because they don't want the bad guys to get to it? What happens to us? It's a really important question, and also it makes you wonder about what battlefield readiness looks like. I don't know the answer to that, but it seems like a question we should all be asking. Again, welcome everyone. It's Web3 Wednesday. Hello. Let's see. What do we got here? Researchers in California used Google Maps and saw that Putin was. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly what went down. Steve Grubbs is asking, when does Medacademy begin? Registered but haven't seen a follow-up. Yeah. So thank you for that. Medacademy, medacademy.xyz is our new training facility, completely free of charge. And it should be online in a couple of days. I know I keep saying that, but we are really, really close to getting the first 4 chapters up and running. One of the things about Medacademy that's so interesting is that it's a Web3 website. So we're going through all of the machinations of not only doing this crypto training environment or the Web3 training environment, we're also making it Web3. The first 4 chapters, you're taught to set up a wallet, software wallet, to go and grab some test ETH from the Rinkeby network. Then you're taught a little bit about how to manipulate that data in your own environment, and then of course how to connect your wallet to a Web3 website. So those are the first 4 chapters. They take you through the very beginning of what will be crypto security, crypto economics, tokenomics. There are 17 chapters all in. We'll have the first 9 up in just a week or so. We'll have the first 4 up for beta testing like any minute. We're hoping any minute. So you bear with us. We're getting there. It'll be up soon. Apple has halted. Speaking, I was going back to the war. First of all, look, this is horrifying, and I don't in any way want to not say this is horrifying. I cannot imagine what it would be like if the Russians or anyone was rolling tanks down Fifth Avenue or here down the main street where I live here up in Stratton. You know, where you send your wives and your children away on a train to go to another country, and you pick up a weapon and you go to defend everything you've ever cared about. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible in every way. Why this is happening, I've asked a lot of people. What I hear from my friends who know these things is that Putin is interested in reestablishing the former Soviet Union and then doing what he can to dismantle NATO. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I'm not a military expert. What I know doesn't make sense is all the people who are in harm's way. A lot of tech companies are taking sides, and one of the companies taking sides is Apple. They have halted sales to Russia of all Apple products, and outside of Russia, you can't get to RT News or Sputnik. I think that's their choice. There's so many tech companies that have decided they're not going to aid and abet what they believe is the enemy at this point. So you've seen Google and Facebook and Twitter do everything they can to curtail misinformation and to limit access to their services by what they consider bad actors. I'm really heartbroken that this has to happen. One of the things that fascinated me, and again, fascinated is the wrong word, that I found fascinating is that the United States is going to wage, starting today, basically, the U.S. Treasury, they've got the thing called the Office of Foreign Assets Control. And that's part of the group that's doing the sanctions. They are going to wage a crypto war on Russia. And so I think it's important to understand that cryptocurrency, while anonymous from a who owns a wallet perspective, is not anonymous. Every crypto transaction is on a public blockchain. Every single one. That's the whole point. So a distributed ledger is a public distributed ledger. You do something in Bitcoin, you do something in ETH, it's going to be on the mainnets of Bitcoin or Ethereum. What about that? There are companies like Chainalysis and others who go and spend quality time trying to figure out who the whales are, who the biggest wallets are. Let's face it, if you're moving $300, $400, $500 million of crypto around, those wallets are pretty obvious, and it's hard to move billions of dollars, a few $100s at a time. Talk to any money launderer in the world. So the United States government's going to go super deep, and apparently it's starting today. They've had since Crimea, the Office of Foreign Assets Control has had mandates about sanctions and following the money on the outside world. So this isn't new, and there was an executive order that President Biden signed. So I'm not sure this is brand new, but apparently it's newly relevant, and they've enhanced those sanctions, which is probably the right thing to do. If that is the right thing to do, this is super interesting. So crypto exchanges aren't choosing sides. There have been calls by the Ukrainian government to Binance, to Kraken, to KuCoin to freeze the Russian assets and to prevent Russian nationals or accounts known to be related to the oligarchs or others, to prevent those accounts from transacting. And all of the exchanges basically said, unless they were required by law to do so, they wouldn't. Now, this is Web3 Wednesday. We used to call it Crypto Wednesday. So let's talk about this for a second. By the way, hello everybody. Tom, Steve, Dave, Atari, good to see you. Please just put your questions in and talk amongst yourselves. Tell each other where you are. And of course, ask me any questions that you'd like. I can see it's a pretty robust chat. Yeah, there's chats everywhere. Oh, look at all that. Well, okay, yeah. Fantastic. So I'm glad you're all doing stuff. Just ask whatever questions you want to ask. But I want to talk about the idea that the big crypto exchanges, Binance, biggest in the world, Kraken, KuCoin, and several others said they wouldn't restrict trading by Russian oligarchs or Russian wealth asset management organizations unless they were required to by law. That's certainly their choice. The United States government's going to do what they do. Everybody's going to do what they do about that. All the governments will do that. Crypto is supposed to be decentralized. And one of the Binance spokespeople's lines of thought, and one of the quotes, is that being able to, let me say this right, restrict crypto trading would fly in the face of the spirit of cryptocurrency. Hold the phone. The hypocrisy in that statement is insane. It's insane. These are centralized exchanges. Binance can do anything they want with your currency, with your trading account. They are a centralized exchange. KuCoin, Kraken, Coinbase, they have KYC in place at Coinbase. It might as well be JP Morgan Chase. If you leave your currency on an exchange that's centralized, that is no different than putting your money in the bank. So I'm sorry, what flies in the face of cryptocurrency? What flies in the face of decentralized finance? There are decentralized exchanges, Uniswap comes to mind immediately, where, and dozens of others, where you couldn't stop an account from trading no matter what because there's no one in charge. They're decentralized. That's the spirit of DeFi. So what BS from Binance? It's like you can't do what because it flies in the face of what? You're a centralized exchange. You may choose not to do it. That's your choice. No one's saying that you have to do it. But to say that it flies in the face of crypto or DeFi is insanity. I reject that out of hand. I'm actually a little bit pissed about it. I wasn't mad that I'm sad that they're not going to help out the Ukrainians. I feel like everybody should. And I saw a news item on YouTube. It was an interview with some kids in the Ukraine. They're making Molotov cocktails. They're probably 17 to 20 years old, literally kids. And one of them was asked by a reporter, well, what were you doing last week? And where'd you learn to do this? She says, well, last week I was planning my spring break from school. And I learned to make Molotov cocktails yesterday morning from the person that was teaching them to do it. And they had a little assembly line going. Kids on an assembly line making Molotov cocktails. 1 week earlier, they're planning their spring break. Nothing about that's okay. Nothing about that is okay. I asked a question to a group of friends last Saturday night. I'll ask you the question now, and you can answer here. You can answer in chat here. I hope you do. Or you can go to Discord and answer it because we've got the same question up there. You are given a choice. You can put your wife and child, because women and children are who are being sent out of the country. They're not letting men leave the country. They're conscripting the men in the Ukraine to fight. You can put your women and children on a train to a safer location, or what you hope to be a safe location, stand a post, and I'll give you the choice. You can go with them. The only thing you have is whatever you've built to defend. Are you going to defend land? Are you going to defend a building? Are you defending your assets? And risking your life for all of that? Or are you getting on a train with the women and children? A lot of people had to think really hard about that. There's just nothing about this that's okay. Nothing. Just nothing. There's no reason for this. There's no reason for it. I learned something else this morning I'd like you all to weigh in on. I learned this morning that all the sanctions in the United States that are being imposed on Russia right now do not include anything to do with their oil exports. Their oil exports are 43% of the Russian economy by dollar volume. You want to hurt Russia, you have to make them drown in their own oil. Well, what would happen? The Saudis would pick it up. The cartels there would make oil incredibly expensive, and everyone would take advantage of us from a gas price perspective. Those people are going to die. We can't spend a few extra bucks on gas. We can't send our military because that starts World War III. But we could have Russia drown in their own oil. Talk to your elected leaders about that. I'm not a military strategist. I'm not pretending to be a military strategist, and this is a way more complex situation than any one individual can solve for. But the idea that we're putting sanctions on everything but 43% of the Russian economy doesn't sound like sanctions at all. If we're taking their oil, we're buying their stuff, we're sending hard dollars there. Well, you're not paying with crypto, apparently, and you're not paying with rubles. So what are we paying for that oil with? We're paying with American dollars, which they can use for whatever they use them for. It's not okay. Doesn't make any sense. Like to just take 1 second of your time, do a super quick promo. Me and my good buddy Seth Everett, we do Techstream with Shelly Palmer and Seth Everett. Every Tuesday it drops. We basically have a lot of fun. We talk about pop culture. We talk about tech and where they intersect, and we just kind of talk to each other about the things that have happened during the week that we think are super cool and super fun. I hope you'll join us there. It's available at Apple and Spotify and Google Play, and I think it's on Amazon as well. So I listen to it on Apple, but I'm sure wherever you get podcasts, you can find Techstream. Wow, what a robust chat. Okay, let me see if I can sort some of this out. Questions. We can't say what we would do because we're not in the... Yes, that's right. I'm sure you all know the story of the Titanic, not necessarily the James Cameron movie, which was movieized, but the actual story of the boat. There's a book called A Night to Remember I read when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. It was the story of the sinking, the boat sinking, but also a little bit about Molly Brown and some of the people who were on it. I always wondered about the popularity of that story, not the movie, not the book, the story itself, because there were all kinds of different vignettes. You had the Strausses who decided to go into their cabin and embrace each other and chose to go down with the ship in that way. There's a story of the band that keeps playing on the deck as the ship sinks. There's the story of people who tried to get into lifeboats even though it was women and children first. There are people who did heroic acts. There are people who jumped to their deaths. There are people every story, and I think all of us wonder, who are we in that scenario? Who are we on the Titanic? What would we do? And you can't ever tell because you don't know. And I think that's so important. It's coming up in text a lot, in the chat here a lot. We don't know because we're not there. What would we do? And of course, we don't know what we would do. We're not faced with it, but these people are faced with it. And I don't know what to feel about that except immense anger. And I hope you feel it too. And I hope we can do something to help the people of the Ukraine get through this and the whole world get through this. And I hope it doesn't escalate because nothing good can happen from it escalating. All right, let's lighten it up a little bit. There was a $70 million NFT drop. These guys did a $70 million sale. This is Pixelmon. It was supposed to be a version of Pokemon where you could train them, you could trade them, you could fight them. They could be made to fight. You could evolve them and all that stuff. So here's the funny part. This is their roadmap image. This is what it's supposed to look like. But when they dropped, they started, this is a real one. It's true. This is a real one. Here's another real one. People went crazy. It's like everybody felt like they got screwed in huge ways. That from this, hey, these are gonna be Pixelmons, to this, $70 million raised. 70 million bucks. Beware of your NFT vendors, whoever they might be. You Again, we don't give financial advice on this show. We really don't. I'm not telling you buy crypto, not to buy crypto, buy an NFT, not to buy an NFT. I'm not doing any of that. I promise you I'm not. But I got to tell you, this one knocked me out. I'm just stunned, completely stunned by what happened. How can you prevent this? Well, to be honest, you can prevent it from happening to you, and here's a bunch of very concrete ways. We always talk about tokenomics, which is a portmanteau of tokens and economics. And when you are going to invest in any cryptocurrency or any NFT, there will be a foundation or an organization that is at least centrally in charge at the beginning, because everything needs to be the brainchild of someone or some group of people. It could be a DAO. It could just be a foundation that's going to issue tokens or coins. It can be an organization that's going to issue NFTs, or a person. Remember, this is all about communities of trust or communities of practice or communities of passion. So there's going to be a website that will lay out the foundational principles, and in most cases, the economics or tokenomics of either the NFTs. In the NFTs case, it's going to be rarity, if it's generative, meaning if they're going to do like a collection like CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club or Catbotica, then there's going to be a foundational set of principles, and there's going to be some economics that are laid out or tokenomics that are laid out. And you'll understand the rarity, what your percentage chances of getting a rare NFT. Then there's also going to be who's who and what's what, how they're funded. Is it a fair launch, or is it a pre-mine? Are a small group of people getting an awful lot of value and you're getting a little value? Or is it fair launched, meaning everybody's the same? There's no standardization here. So every one of these methodologies are completely different. But you can learn an awful lot about whether you want to invest in cryptocurrency or become a member of a DAO or get involved in an NFT drop by looking at the foundational principles. So if people went and looked here and it all looked right, and then these guys scammed them, all right, that can happen. You don't know who they are. You can happen. I mean, you can happen to you. Apparently it happened to all these people, but you can at least be forewarned that this is possible. And it's not incorrect to check up on the people who are doing the NFTs, who are doing the DAOs, who are issuing the crypto. Why wouldn't you? You check references for everything else. When we say trustless, we mean that after everything is up and running, you don't need to know or trust the people you're doing business with. Crypto economic security and in best practices is you can't hurt somebody without hurting yourself worse, and you can't help yourself without helping somebody else. When those conditions are met, something is considered to be crypto economically secure. That's after the fact, not before the fact. Before the fact could be a charlatan, could be a complete huckster, can be a complete con artist, and in many, many cases are. And by the way, it's not unusual for some of your favorite people, music artists, recording artists, people in the fashion industry, people in the art industry, people who don't know any better, to get involved with people who are taking advantage of them too. So just because it's got a real pedigree on it doesn't mean that the people who are doing the tech or who the underlying technology or who are the brains behind the operations, doesn't mean these people are fair in any manner, shape, or form. So forewarned is forearmed. And in fact, there was another story just the other day. This one was really interesting. It's called Discord grinding, and I think it's funny. Well, not, yeah, it's funny. Funny, interesting, funny. I think it's funny again because we're getting so deep into Discord now at the Palmer Group, and the Shelly Palmer Discord server is nascent and new, and we're asking you to join. So there's a thing that's happening with DAOs and with NFTs called Discord grinding, and if you go on Fiverr or some of the other freelance work websites and you type in something like whitelist or Discord grinder, you will get people who will come and offer for pay to spend apparently any amount of time on your Discord server grinding away at what should be moderating. It's the equivalent, some say, of buying traffic. I don't know if that's true. But apparently it's frowned upon pretty heavily. Fiverr has been deleting Fiverr accounts all over the place because of it. We're not going to use any of those grinders at Discord, our Discord server at Shelly Palmer. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't surprise me. First of all, Discord, if you haven't used it, is a pretty interesting place. There's all kinds of different ways to use Discord. What I love about it is that there's something for everybody, but it also makes it very confusing, and it makes you have to navigate. You have to spend a little more time thinking through what you want to do and how you want to do it. It's not a single feed like Twitter or TikTok or your Facebook news feed. You got to go choose what you want, and you have to go spend time doing it and look around. And you can set yourself up a bunch of notifications, and you can follow certain things the way you want to follow them. I would heartily suggest that if you're in the world of DeFi, in the world of crypto, if you want to be in the world of NFTs, all the cool kids are there. What got me into really building out our Discord server, what made me understand that we had to get our platform off of Mighty Networks, wasn't that there was anything particularly wrong with Mighty Networks. They were fine, and PGX was humming away with about 3,350 users. Wonderful. We were very excited, but it couldn't grow from a communication standpoint. It couldn't cross-pollinate. It was very isolated, and it was very, very difficult to recruit or leverage some of the outside world. So Discord solves all those problems. It's really an interesting communications environment. I'm seeing the chat's getting a little quiet here, folks. Come on, let's go. Big questions. Would love to have you not only chat with each other, but chat with me and let me know what's happening. Chat is always where it's at. So while I'm waiting for a question, I will tell you a little bit about, I will do my shameless plug. This is the book Blockchain, Cryptocurrency, NFTs, and Smart Contracts. It was #1 Amazon bestseller. It's still doing very well on Amazon. You can go to shellypalmer.com/blockchain. There's a giant set of resource pages there. We've got a really nice database of all of the companies we're looking at that we've assembled for ourselves. So you can also get the book off of Amazon. We donate our proceeds to charities, so it's not expensive. The ebook is like $2.99, and the paperback I think is $7.99. But if you've got certain privileges on Amazon Prime, it's either cheaper than that or in some cases free. So, but shellypalmer.com/blockchain is a really fun place to go if you are looking for resources. And again, a lot of you are asking about Metacademy. Okay. Again, super apologies. This is really late. I promised this at CES. This was harder to do than we thought it was going to be. So yes, if you've signed up for Metacademy, there are a couple of thousand people signed up on the wait list, and thank you for that. And I appreciate it. And also deeply, humbly apologize for not having it ready. I want to say this week, next week, we will have this thing, the first 4 chapters for sure. I've got over 170,000 words of content written for this. It's an interactive environment. For those of you who don't know what Metacademy is, it is a risk-free, cost-free environment where you can learn about Web3, DeFi, the metaverse, crypto, uses test currency, uses test environments, completely safe, and we don't charge for it. So we'll get you there. It's really taken us a while. Some of the things that made this hard, oddly enough, there aren't really well-defined protocols for some of the things we wanted to do in a Web3 world. We expected to go and follow guidelines that had been widely adopted. And what we found is that there are no guidelines that are widely adopted. And so we have been slogging through different technological protocols and trying to not assume technical debt that we don't have to assume. Whenever you start a project, try to minimize the technical debt you're going to assume. Anyone who have written one line of code knows that code rots and there's nothing you can do about it. Over time, you will have to refactor and you're going to have to rewrite all the time. But you'd like to keep that to a minimum. We also want to make this feature rich, and we also want to make sure that as we're teaching various aspects of Web3, that we are compliant and adherent to the things we're teaching. There are so many sites out there that are just regular learning management systems, LMSs, where you can we have one at Podia. You can go to courses.shellypalmer.com and take all kinds of courses about everything. Some are free, some cost a little money. But the thing is, it's a good old-fashioned Web 2.0 site. We could have put this information there, but that didn't seem right. Why aren't we eating our own dog food? And so in order to eat our own dog food, we actually had to go on a journey ourselves, which I will document in part of the lessons at Med Academy because it has been fascinating. I have a pretty decent update on my MetaMask hack while we're at it. Again, chat's where it's at. Oh, here's a question. What are the potential marketing implications of wrapped NFTs a la Space Doodles? Joel Lipman. Where do I start? Well, first let's talk about what a wrapped NFT is. NFTs are smart contracts. Just so you understand, and I know most of you do, but I'll say it anyway. An NFT is not a GIF or a GIF or a JPEG or an MPEG-4 file or an MP3 file, MPEG-3 file, audio, video, stills. It's none of that. It's a smart contract. And the smart contract points to the asset. That's it. When you purchase an NFT, you are getting that purchase written to a blockchain. And in that data, very small amount of data, there is a pointer. And it either points to a content ID on a mesh database like IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, funny name, but it's a peer-to-peer database, very popular in the world of crypto. Content IDs because it can't have a URL, right? Because the content is living on hundreds or thousands of computers. So it will have a content ID and it will be distributed peer-to-peer. You can pin it to a URL. You can pin a URL to it, which is what a pinning service like Pinata is for. You can also just point to an AWS bucket. You can put this in a regular database, a Web2 database. Now, of course, if that database ever gets unplugged, your NFT goes away, but not your pedigree, not what's written on the blockchain. Now, in a smart contract, you have terms and conditions. And the only difference between a smart contract and a regular contract is in a smart contract, when the terms and conditions are met, the contract executes automatically and crypto changes hands irrevocably, generally. And this includes and allows you to craft secondary market conditions. So, for example, I have an NFT, I'm the originator, maybe I'm getting 70%, and the company that has provided me the platform is taking 30%. I'm making this up. Maybe there's a couple points for the marketplace. I think OpenSea charges 2.5 points or something like that for the initial sale. But let's say that there's a secondary market. Every time it changes hands, you as the creator want a 20% chop of whatever future monies are spent on your creation. This allows you to share in the value you create for a long time. Now, most artwork doesn't get royalties. A lot of music does, depending on how it's published and depending on who owns the publishing and depending on whether it's registered with ASCAP or BMI or Performing Rights Society. You've heard about music royalties, but you've never really heard about artwork royalties. Picasso painting goes for $30 million. The Picasso estate doesn't get anything. But under this circumstance, the smart contract could, even with the physical good, if there was a serial number that was assigned to Picasso artwork, infused into it with some kind of heat-sealed serial number, maybe a hologram that was burned into the edge of this canvas. And you wanted to say that that was an NFT, and the smart contract on the blockchain said that particular physical good belongs to this particular digital wallet, you can do that. A wrapped NFT, what happens is people wrap that smart contract in something else, doesn't matter what, and they remove the terms and conditions of the secondary market. If they remove everything, it just becomes a singular NFT without the smart contract terms and conditions. This is making people really sad because the whole point of an NFT, the whole point of a smart contract is that it works in a trustless environment. Most of the NFTs you buy on a primary sale are not trustless. You know exactly who you're buying them from, and you know exactly where you're buying them. So you're going to the Bored Ape Yacht Club official channel on OpenSea. What are you going to buy there? Bored Apes. They're sold out. Okay, secondary market. Is it an official Bored Ape NFT? You can go to the Blockchain Explorer. You can look at that NFT and you can find out with very little effort if that's a real Bored Ape or a fake Bored Ape. Some of the fake Bored Apes say they're fake. Others don't. But one way or the other, it's not hard for you to figure out what a real Bored Ape is, what a fake Bored Ape is. When you wrap an NFT, you are doing everything you can to invalidate the terms and conditions of the initial smart contract. It's really unfortunate. I am sure, I'm positive, that over time this is going to get worked out, although I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how the technology is going to have to evolve in order to protect people from wrapped NFTs. Now, there are perfectly good reasons to wrap crypto assets and wrap tokens, especially if you need to move them across chains, because a lot of NFTs, most NFTs, I think at this point, still are ERC 721 compliant. That is an Ethereum virtual machine, Ethereum mainnet protocol. If you want to put that on a non-Ethereum compatible blockchain, or you want to move it somewhere, you have to wrap it in something in order to get it there. So there are valid reasons why you would wrap any token, any coin, and most of it has to do with cross-chain compatibility. And there's nothing legal or illegal about it. It's just the thing you'd need to do if you were going to try to move your currency around. You can't store every kind of currency in every digital wallet. Certain digital wallets are really specialized into individual currencies. My favorite hardware wallet is a Grid Plus Lattice, and it's pretty much for anything that's Ethereum compatible and Bitcoin, and pretty much not for anything else. So you're not putting Polkadot on it. You're not putting Solana on it. You're just not. You got to have a different wallet for that. Is there someone who could wrap Polkadot and make it look like ETH and put it in my wallet? Yeah, maybe. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? At the moment, it's not something I'd want to play with. There are plenty of people trying to work on cross-chain compatibility. So, long way of saying, wrapped NFTs, wrapped crypto, wrapped coins, wrapped tokens of any kind are not intrinsically a bad thing. They may be very important for portability or transportability. But when they're used nefariously, they are nefarious. It's that simple. And the other thing you have to be very careful with, wrapped NFTs, wrapped ETH, both wrapped anything, you need to be 1 billion% sure if that's a number, because saying 100% doesn't feel like enough. You need to be 1 billion% sure that wherever you are moving a wrapped token or a wrapped coin, no matter what it is, that where you're moving it specifically likes that flavor of wrapped anything. Because if you send like wrapped ETH to a wallet that doesn't take it, you send a wrapped NFT to a wallet that's not prepped for it, gone. So I have heard so many stories about people just not paying attention in class. I'll leave it there. So, forewarned is forearmed. Be very careful. You want to experiment a little bit? You can. There's an interesting way to do it. Polygon, their currency is Matic. That's a layer 2 solution over Ethereum, over the Ethereum mainnet. And there are some currency bridges between Polygon and Ethereum in order for you to move Matic and ETH back and forth. I got very familiar with this because of my Ethereum mining at Ethermine. They let you take your crypto in either ETH or you can get it in Matic. But if you get it in Matic, you need to bridge it over. So it's complicated. But if you want to understand a little bit about how bridges work and how wrapping currency works, it's kind of a cool place to understand it. So there are some ways to wrap ETH and move it around. There are some ways to wrap Matic and move it around. Be very, very careful. Usually wrapped ETH or any of the currencies that are wrapped have either a W or an R, some prefix that let you know that they're wrapped. Some don't. Gotta be, you gotta pay attention to class. That's the number one thing you gotta do. So in no particular order, I'd love you to get into our Discord server. Please, 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 please. Discord is so super cool. And if you have trouble getting into it, we'll do our best to help you. It's not for the faint of heart. I'm not pretending it's for the faint of heart, but we hope that you'll join us there. And look, this is my absolute favorite time of the week, and I apologize for the audio issues at the very beginning today. It wasn't my intention to not get this right. Like I said, I'm up in my loft in Vermont, and my microphone is here, but I'm on a MacBook Pro and instead of my big Windows machine, and I do have a good camera. I mean, I like the way it looks, and I got some lights going. I felt like I had this right, but it was hard to test because I just haven't used this computer to do any streaming. But I'm really happy you're all with me today, and I really appreciate it. We'll be back in the actual world using real gear, and everything will be perfect next week. I promise that. Until then, look, stay safe. Anything you can do to help our friends in the Ukraine to show some solidarity. I hope that they are kept as safe as they can be kept, and I hope that this does not escalate. We need to do all that we can to make sure to ensure that both of those things are true, that somehow we do what we can to help those in the Ukraine, and that we do everything we can to make sure that our elected officials do not escalate this into something we don't want it to be. With that, I will thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here this week. If there's anything we can do to help you, come find us on Discord. That's the cool place to come and find us. And you can always get me at Shelly at ShellyPalmer.com. Thank you so much for being here this week from Stratton Mountain, Vermont. I'm going to just bid you all farewell. Take care. See you soon.